Hey, you guys. Sorry. I'm reaching in. Sorry, I'm trying to get on West Side. I was just finishing up work, and I was watching CNN. And, I'm distracted with a lot of different stuff right now, and, families visiting, as I mentioned, and I apologize. I'll try to revisit some of the things I said. Hey, everybody. I'll try to revisit some of the things that I said yesterday, because, of course, when the air conditioning is on, no one can hear anything. And when I'm driving, no one can hear anything. So I apologize. I'm still working out these kinks, and I try to steal time. Hi, everybody. So I'm reaching in, and I'm trying to control my emotions right now. I've been watching or hearing bits and pieces of the candidates' visit to the concentration camps, and I happened to be finishing up at work, and the TV was on, and I turned around and I started to zone in, like really hone in, on what was being said about the concentration camps. Now, I know that I've been advocating against it for some time, and I know that I've been posting articles, and I know that I'm constantly feeding the information machine about what's happening and how inhumane these things are. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm sick to my stomach, and my heart is heavy beyond words. And I think because I cannot understand how in this country we are allowing this to happen. I started to listen to Ayanna Presley, Councilwoman Presley, speak about her observations and her describe some of the deplorable conditions as it related to how the women were being treated. I had just posted yesterday a Haitian woman. No, I'm sorry. I think she may have been Haitian. She may have been from another country, but she was screaming out from underneath the gate, and her baby was crawling out while she was crying to the media for help and saying that she had no water and no food for her baby, and her baby was sick. And you could tell by the swelling in his eyes that he was sick. And then I hear, and then when I post stuff like that, the response is, oh, that's happening over the border, right? So in the mindset of people, that's happening over the border in Mexico. It's not happening here. And then I'm watching and listening to the things that are being said about how these women are being treated. And then I read about an incident, a visit back in June, where these babies were taking care of each other. The babies are walking around without diapers, urinating on the floor. You have 7, 8-year-olds. In one facility, there were approximately 300 children. In one facility, at least 100 of them were under the age of 12, taking care of infants. For me, as a person who has been a nurturer and taken care of my own infants and cared for them when they were their sickest and tended to them when they were at their best, to comprehend that every single human being in this country who has benefited from the land of milk and honey, even at your worst, at your absolute worst, to be able to watch this and to detach emotionally from it, and to somehow rationalize in some instances that this is not our problem, or that they are somehow a threat to this democracy, is the most sickening thing I could possibly try to process. My mother-in-law, before she died, had one day in a hospital when she wasn't being taken care of properly. And I was away from her for 3 days because I had a flu. And I walked into that hospital and I saw her laying in that bed in her own feces, having not had her teeth brushed, had not had her hair combed, and had not had her arm, her intravenous changed, and the blood clotted on her arm. And as God is my witness, it took everything in my power not to climb across that nurse's station and beat the hell out of every woman. Every single woman who called themselves a caregiver. She was right outside the station, the nurse's station, and had not been tended to by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And by the time I was done, I had the entire staff in the fucking room taking care of my mother-in-law. And my words to those women were, would you not want to die with dignity? Would you not want to live with dignity? Would you not want to be treated with the same dignity at 30 or 60 or 90? Or in this case, at 2 or 3 or 7 or 12 or 15? Would we not all want that dignity? And so for me, when I hear this stuff that I can't even believe I'm speaking about, when I hear that there are guards that will not nurture a child, when I hear that there are adults on the premises that will not allow children to be cared for, will not give them blankets, will not give them toothbrushes, will not give them soap, will not give women the dignity of sanitary napkins and a change of clothing, the comforts of knowing where her child is. What the hell, may I ask people, is going on? And so I'm going to say this. Every single one of us that does not call their counsel starting now and spread the word to this entire country that this is going to end is that nurse that sat behind that station and ignored my mother-in-law. And it is disgusting, and it is deplorable, and it is offensive to every part of my psyche and my spirit to know that as Americans, we are making believe that this is not happening on our watch. I could not believe the things that Presley was describing. I could not believe the things that Ocasio was describing because I honestly hadn't had a chance to really listen and watch and look at the photos. And I hadn't had a chance to go into depth. I mean, I've been reading it. But when you start to see it, and then when you start to dig to all the articles that have not been posted and all the things that the media has not talked about openly until these running mates go down and get permission to go in without their phones. What the fuck? What country are we living in? What country are we living in? That we can't even have our Congress go into a facility and have their phones to videotape what is going on, to find out that women who were outside in 110-degree temperatures were brought in just in time to clean things up, that guards were sitting there laughing. State of emergency? Beyond state of emergency. We've been in a state of emergency since this man came into office, and everybody is playing nice in the sandbox, and everybody is being quiet, and everybody is saying it's going to settle itself down. And then in the next breath, everybody's saying, uh-oh, this guy might get back into office. And everybody's talking about all the other stuff that's going on in this country that's violating our human rights as Americans. Never mind what's happening to those migrants and those women and those children and those men, and the psychological, emotional, and physiological abuse and violence and trauma that they're all under. The victimization. I am sick beyond. I'm sick beyond. And like I said, I've seen up close and personal. I've seen it up close and personal what neglect looks like when people just don't give a shit. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've had to almost save elderly's lives from neglect on a handful of occasions, at least a handful of occasions, but not on my watch. Not on my watch. And my question is, why is it that we are willing to take initiative for our own children, our own mother, our own father, our own aunt, our own friend, but we are not willing to take the initiative for one another? What is the difference of whether or not that person is our direct blood or not? What is the difference of whether or not that child is ours or not? What is the difference? Please, could somebody help me understand what is the difference? What's the difference? Why is it that that's not our responsibility? Why is it that we should have no concern about these people? Why is it that we aren't all saying hell to the no? I don't get it. I don't get it. And when I saw and heard the words and it resonated with me and it triggered the emotions that I felt and the visualization I saw of that, the visuals that I saw of neglected people in emergency rooms and neglected people in nursing care facilities and neglected elderly and sick in hospitals. I suddenly imagined these infants. Romania, did anybody ever look at what they did to the babies in Romania? And how all of those orphans in Romania were left to lay in their cribs to the point that their heads were flat, to the point that they were so emotionally disconnected that they could not receive love. There are still, to this day, products of that kind of psychological and emotional and physical abuse. These children are adults are emotionally retarded to this day, because they were not getting love, and they were not getting attention, and they were not getting comforts, and they were not getting cared for. How is it that we, as compassionate, caring human beings, will give a shit about a dog who breaks its leg on the street? We will take the time to rescue a cat out of a tree. We will take the time to save an animal. We will fight for the lions and the tigers and the fucking bears in the jungle. But we are not capable of coming together cumulatively and saying this is not acceptable. The entire nation should be calling Washington right now. The entire country should be on the horn calling Washington. There isn't a single one of us who has not turned on a news channel who should not be acting out in some way against this right now. Don't tell me it's not our problem. Don't tell me they don't live in this country, so it's not of our concern. Human beings are of our concern, and you could rest assured, Americans, remember that, Americans, you could rest assured, if the tables were turned and one of us, or 10 of us, or 20 of us, or 50 of us, or 100 of us our children, our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers were all on a plane and dropped off in some other fucking country and treated like this, we would be throwing bombs on their asses. What the hell is the difference? Since when do we have some value that makes us more important than someone from Guatemala, or someone from Mexico, or someone from Venezuela, or someone from Syria, or someone from Palestine, or someone from the Yemens? Why is it that we're so important and everybody else is of insignificance? Why? Because we all fell into the bullshit lie about the all-American dream, the land of milk and honey. We're superior. We got ours. We earned ours. We worked for ours. Bullshit. Bullshit. Because you know what? A third of us were snatched up and dragged over here. Another third of us have grandparents and great-great-parents and great-great-great-great-parents who busted their asses and died trying to get here, just like these people. What the hell is the difference between us and them? Nothing, except a generation or two. We had better get off our high fucking horses quick, because karma is a bitch. And the saying, according to Malcolm X, the chickens come home to roost. You can rest assured that what's happening right now is exactly that. Because while your president is dogging these people, he's also setting every one of you all up to do the same to you. And everybody's too arrogant and cocky and confident to believe otherwise, to believe that that's not possible. And it is possible. The test that we're being given, we're failing. We're failing. And what I was sharing yesterday was that this man has gone to every country. He has gone to every country that has a dictator. He has made friends and complimented and affirmed and validated totalitarianism across this world. And he right now is in power in your country. And he's testing every single one of us. And you know what he sees? He sees not even half of us, not even a third of us coming together and saying no more. How much will they take? How much are they willing to take? How much are they willing to tolerate? How much are they willing to look the other way? How much are they willing to rationalize it? How much are they willing to justify it? How much are they willing to say it's okay to leave those babies suffering and hungry and starving without love and attention? I was reading about how there was an infestation of lice. The babies had lice. They gave them a lice kit and they gave them 2 combs for 10 children. And told the other babies, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, to clean those babies. No diapers, no milk, no formula. I was reading an article the other day. There are laws, national laws, that say that disabled are supposed to be protected. Never mind humanitarianism and the right to dignity. Every single disabled person, whether they're blind, there are blind children, there are deaf children, and adults. Blind, deaf, paralyzed, maimed. No care, no medical care, no medical treatment. As I want every mother and father and aunt and uncle and grandfather, every single one of you all that is in this feed right now or is going to pass this on, and I'm passing for anyone who passes it on, every single person out there, every single human being out there has cared for someone. Every single one of us has cared for someone. Every single one of us has had to take responsibility for somebody else's life. Nurtured somebody, bathed somebody, clothed somebody, hugged somebody, kissed somebody, comforted somebody emotionally. Every single one of us. And if you haven't, that to me that means to me that you have never come in human contact with another human being. And we know that's not true. If you have not done it directly, you have seen it. Because this is the country of illusion. We put warm and fuzzy teddy bears all over the media 24/7 every friggin' day of the week. We put warm and fuzzy on all of our television programs. We put warm and fuzzy out there because this is wonderful United States of America. And we're all about caring, right? We're all about caring for one another. If you can do that, if you can feel, if you can love, if you can touch, if you can hold, if you can care for, if you can nurture, if you can speak, you know that there is no reason that this is happening. And I said to somebody, I was sharing with it was my cousin. And I was talking to her about a lesson I had learned about when you are amongst the sinners, whether you believe in sin or you believe in evil or you believe in right and wrong, up and down. As I sit on this corner right now and watch these babies running around on the corner. There's babies in the United States of America doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're playing on the corner, waiting for their mamas to follow them down the block. That's normal. And that's what all of these families should be doing right now. That's what they should be getting from us in this country. But I went on a sidebar. I said to my cousin, there was a moment in time in my life that I had to make a choice. And the choice was stay in a place with a person you're dealing with or you're observing or experiences is dark. And you know that their darkness is irrational. And you know that their darkness is not healthy. And you know that their darkness is dangerous. And because I'm a human being and because I give a shit about people no matter how dark they get, I try to always find the light in the darkness, because usually you can find a little pin light of light in the worst of human beings, which is getting harder and harder, I might add, for me to do right now. As God is my witness, there are some things I'm seeing right now and I'm just like, and then when I hear the arguments and I hear the rationalizations and I hear the people telling me it's not my problem and why should I give a shit? And I'm like, why are you asking me why I should give a shit? Why are you debating with me about why I should give a shit? Why are you challenging me about why I should give a shit? But so all of that, I say all that to say, there was a moment where I was at a crossroads. And in that crossroads, I felt myself being sucked into the darkness. I felt myself being drawn into the darkness because the darkness was dominating. It was overpowering me emotionally and psychologically. In all of my well-meaning intention for this person, their darkness was much heavier than my light. And I was at a crossroads and didn't know how to reckon with my guilt about having to pull away from this person and this darkness. And I was sitting one day in prayer, and I just, as I have done in the past, I don't read the Bible from cover to cover. I just put my hand over it and say, guide me. And often is the case, I flip open the page and the answer is there. And the message was, and I can't tell you exactly where it was or what it was, other than to say, the message is that when you see sin, And you, even if you are not participating in the sin, even if you are not enacting the sin, you are the sinner. By looking at it, being silent, you are the sinner. And you are betraying God, you are betraying the universe, you are betraying source, you are betraying everything about life. When we make a conscious choice to sit in that darkness and remain silent, when you choose to sit in that darkness and let that darkness suck you in, we are failing. We're failing. We are failing those women who need to nurture those children. We are failing those children who need love and nurturing from their mothers. We're failing those fathers who are trying to figure out how they're going to get back to their women and children. We are failing, people. We're failing. I implore every one of you to call your House and your Senate and spread this message, or your own message, or any message, like wildfire, and burn this fucking shit down. Burn it down, because we have the power to burn these camps down. We have the power to shut it down. And all it takes is millions of us shutting it down. Saying no more. No more inhumanity. No more. We're done. But I am asking you to close your eyes and imagine if that was your son, if that was your daughter, if that was your grandchild, if that was your niece or your nephew or your mother or your father or your sister or your brother. What if? What if? And then I want you to take it a step further. What if they're just the beginning of what's to come? What if? What if you're already living in a policing state? They're already trying to take your right to protest away. They're already taking away your First Amendment right. They're already trying to shut you down and your freedom of speech when you are on social media. They're already attempting to take away your bodily rights. They already have private prisons where there is the same kinds of negligence and abuse taking place in this country. But somehow, because, quote unquote, they're criminals. They're criminals. So it's okay, right? No, it's not okay. We're playing a dangerous game. When I say Russian roulette, this is Russian roulette. This is Russian roulette. And those children and those women and those fathers that have been ripped to shreds and are living in the most undignified of conditions right now, those people, you cannot allow that kind of torture and energy to come out. You can't allow that kind of energy to come out and not expect the karma to come back and bite you so fucking hard you're not gonna know what hit you. So I'm gonna plead with you guys. Like I said, I've seen it firsthand. Okay, I'm not that one. I'm not that one. I mean, you know, I can't even get the words out. I can't even get the words out to process how this is happening. How is this happening, people? Please help me understand. Why is this not our problem? Why is this not our problem? How is this not our problem? If you keep functioning in fear, if we keep functioning in fear, they win. And I promise you it will get worse. I promise you it's going to get worse. It's not just going to get worse for them, it's going to get worse for us. I should not be the only person out of 7 nurses and aides sitting around in a hospital that notices negligence. Nor should I be the only one out of all the people who walk in and out and come and go that speak up. I've been in instances where, because no one was watching, everybody stopped giving a shit. It's one thing to see it happen on a hospital floor. It's something else entirely when you see it happen in a country. That's some scary shit. That's some scary shit. So, again, it takes 5 seconds to Google. It takes 5 seconds to Google your congresswoman or man and find out their phone number. It takes 5 seconds to sign the petition. It takes 5 seconds to pick up the phone and keep redialing and leaving messages on that phone number, or resending that email to your Congress or your Senate. But if they get flooded by everybody, we can stop this. We can shut it down. We can stop this, people. We can stop this. And we can stop all the other bullshit that's been happening in this country. But I'm really getting sick and tired of talking. I'm really getting sick and tired of talking. Because when this started, when this man came into office, I started talking. And it's gotten progressively worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Because there still are not enough of us turning our face against that darkness and defying it and pushing back against it and saying, not on my watch. So, these are babies. These are innocent babies. And to all you hypocrites out there that say you want babies born, you're hypocrites. You're hypocrites. To say that life matters if you are not willing to get out there and defend those children. You're hypocrites. I'm sorry. I apologize if I'm hurting someone's feelings, but I really don't give a shit right now. I really don't. I really don't. I really don't. Because you get to go and lay up in your nice warm bed tonight. You have water, running water. You're not drinking out of a fucking toilet bowl. You're not in the same clothes that you've been in for the last 2 weeks. You have access to a shower. You have access to cable. You have access to television. You get to turn your light off at night. These children and these women don't even get to sleep. They're sleeping on cement, for God's sakes. They're sleeping on cement. I don't have no sympathy for no one right now. I have sympathy for no one that has made a decision. It's someone else's problem. And I don't want to get involved. Or I don't want my name on anything. Or I don't want people to know that I care that much. Or I have to worry about my job. Who gives a fuck about the job or your name or your reputation? If you have to go to your maker and lay your head down one day 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago and 30 years from now and recognize that you did nothing when there are people out there suffering because you were manipulated into fear and you were manipulated into the darkness. We all have free will. We all have choice. In my story, I chose to speak up. And in my story, I chose to push back. And in my story, I chose to go out on that hospital floor and curse out every fucking nurse that neglected my mother-in-law. And I chose to go out on that hospital floor and curse out every doctor who failed to do what they were supposed to do for my grandmother and for my boss. And when I get on the phone even today as someone who oversees caregiving and is a care proxy, and I call up to complain about one thing, I go straight to the top. To the top. I don't speak with the people at the bottom who have no power. I go straight to the top. And I get on the phone with the person at the top. And I harass the people until I get to the person at the top. And I tell those people and every single person I talk to along the way, I am not advocating for one person. I am advocating for every single human being that is not being given courtesy, consideration, and respect. I'm advocating for every single person that is not being treated with dignity. I'm advocating for every single disabled person, for every single old person, for every single sick person. If I go into a hotel and you don't have a handicap-ready room, you're going to hear from my ass. If I call an ambulance company and then leave somebody sick at a center and they don't pick them up, you're going to hear from my ass. You all have the same responsibility. And you want to know why? Because one day your ass is going to be in that hospital bed. One day your ass is going to be in that wheelchair, God forbid. One day your ass is going to be the person relying on that ambulance to pick you up. You don't wait until the shit drops at your feet. We all have a responsibility to one another now. Because it will come to your doorstep one day, I promise you. In some way, shape, or form, it will come to your doorstep. And why do I say that? Let's be real. Let's be honest, okay? Right now, there are people in this country dying because they can't afford medicine. They can't afford their fucking asthma pump, for God's sakes. How many babies do you think right now are suffering from asthma in those facilities and not getting medical treatment? Because the conditions are toxic. You're already falling victim. So don't live in some kind of a delusion. If they get rid of care, if they get rid of affordable health care for everybody, that's what you will see in this country. We can't keep living in this fantasy that somehow it's them, not us. It has nothing to do with us. It has to do with every single one of us. Any one of us at any time can fall on hardship. Any one of us at any time can fall on desperate times. Any one of us at any time can fall ill. And you will fall prey to whoever that person is. And you either will be blessed to have someone with decency and kindness and consideration and care, or you will fall victim and prey to someone that doesn't give a flying fuck about you. We are no different than those people that could potentially do harm or be negligent if we do not speak out. And we do not all get on the horn and raise some hell about these women and these children and these men at the borders, in these concentration camps. We are all failing. I'm sorry, we just are. And I'm not going to apologize. I'm not apologizing. I'm not apologizing if I'm hurting anyone's feelings. I'm not apologizing. I don't care what horse we're on. You can fall off. And as far as I'm concerned, my cousin said it. The pauper on the horse, there's something about the pauper on the horse and the rich man walking. The rich man that sits up on the horse is the pauper because he's clueless. He has no soul. He has no spirit. He has no conscience. He's indifferent. That's why he's poor on his horse. The poor man is on his horse poor because he doesn't get it. And the rich man walks beside him. But he's rich because he has a conscience. And because he gives a fuck about everything and anything besides just him or herself. Get on the horn, people. Get on the horn. Call your council. Call your senators. Call. Blow up the phones. And pass the word on to every single one of your family members to blow up the phones. Spread it like wildfire across the country and burn this shit down to the ground. And let every one of these son of a bitches who's in office know that they are done. They are finished, and they will never, ever, ever hold a place in this country in a position of power to speak on your behalf ever again if they don't shut this shit down now. Remember, you're the governing body of this land. You're the governing body. Our hands are clean or they're dirty. Our hands are clean or dirty. Yes, Richard, absolutely. Everyone's having a good time. Yeah, we're all, getting ready. They're talking about July 4th, like, oh, what wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Independence Day. What are we independent of? What are we independent of? Are we independent of Putin? Are we independent of Putin right now? Are we independent of Kim Jong-un? Are we independent of policing state? Are we independent with a right to protest without confines and the threat of having our voice taken away? Are we independent of the fact that there are people dying on our borders? There are children dying on our borders? Babies dying on our borders? Are we independent of the fact that somebody's trying to tell us that we don't have the right to protect our bodies from bringing a child into the world that's sick and dangerous and vile and means infants harm, especially if they come out brown and black? No. We're entirely too we're entirely too comfortable. We're entirely too comfortable. And we really need to get uncomfortable. We need to get uncomfortable. I'm sorry. We need to get uncomfortable. Yeah, it is about humanitarianism. And like I said, everybody is ready.
New text message from the inbox.
Everybody's ready to raise some hell about, everybody's ready to raise some hell about, how these son of a bitches, he gave everybody free reign to start killing off our endangered species. Everybody's in an uprising. How many people came out on the streets against furs? How many people will lose their effing minds over wearing fur in this country? Anyway, all right, I'm gonna get off. I'm raising hell. I'm upset. I'm angry. I've said enough. I've cussed enough. I've raised the hell. If I offended anybody, I want to say I'm sorry, but right now I'm not in the mood to say I'm sorry, because I'm sorry that we're all so complacent that this is happening. So that's where I'm at right now. Sorry, but that's where I'm at right now. So, like I said, free will and choice. I know that when I lay my head down to rest, I'm gonna be at peace, because I'm not on my watch. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. I'm gonna make those phone calls and I'm gonna raise hell. And I'm gonna push back, and I'm gonna encourage everybody to do the same. Anyway, peace. Talk to y'all, and I implore you, get pissed and pass the word. I implore you. Talk to you later. Bye.